Hello, welcome to my channel. This is Mr. Pascal. I am recording this video at Red Square in Moscow. I just hope that I do not have to deal with copyright because there is music playing in the background. I really came to celebrate the launch of my second book, titled The Landmines of the Apartheid Era, its After Effects and Remedy. Wow. Wow. If you've never written a book, it's not possible for you to actually appreciate what I'm feeling right now. It's not possible, and I don't expect you to. But if you've ever written anything, even a column in a journal, you'll know that writing probably requires most of the focus from your brain, because to put thoughts in perspective and to use the right language to describe the vision of what you have in your brain, to put it on paper so that people who read it may actually go in your brain and see what you mean. My God, is the most difficult exercise and probably the most rewarding, to actually see the thought I once had, the experiences on paper, now floating on Amazon, Smashword, and on Take-A-Lot. After so many hours, so many sacrifices, I just wanted to take this time to come to my favorite place, the Red Square in Moscow, where I currently live, and just have some coffee, some cappuccino, and say to myself, well done, Pascal. I congratulate myself because I've learned with time that in life, if you do not really take time to look yourself in the mirror and say, well done to yourself, chances that you'll depend on others to do it. And most of the time, people don't do it for various reasons. So, well done, Pascal, for writing 2 books. My first book title is called My Mess is for Sale. It's a book that I've written after 10 years of my life, not 20, maybe 15 years, 20 years of my life of up and down, success, losses, gain, life, death. There were so many things that has happened. When I got a revelation to write my first book, I remember I was praying. I said, Lord, what can I really write? There are so many messes around. He says, that's exactly the title. Your mess is now for sale, because I will show you how to turn your mess and make it a message, make it a testimony for somebody else to use it. I remember at that time, I didn't even know how you start writing a book. Do you start with a table of content, or do you first write the content, then you have the table of content? I start searching, and then I start seeing everybody talking about all various ways of writing book. But this is my conclusion. If you write academic books, intellects, if you write political books, you need data. But if you write about your life experiences, a testimony, you don't need to collect data. You actually don't write, you download on paper what is already been downloaded in your spirit. After following so many methods on how to write a book, write so many words a day, write so many pages a day, I got so depressed, so frustrated. Then I prayed, I said, God, you gotta show me how to write a book. Then he said, let me write it, just borrow me your hand, your time. I took myself out of my work. I took 3 months off from my business, from Johannesburg. And I drove, I took my car, I put everything in my car, I drove. My phone just dropped as I was talking. And I don't think I'm gonna cut that piece, because I want to show somebody that's actually how life is. All is well, and then all of a sudden everything just collapses. But what you do is that you pick it up and you go back and you continue exactly where you left it. That's why I don't think I'm gonna cut this piece. It's a great lesson. Pick it up, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and continue exactly from where you stopped. Because this is a perfect example to show you how my life has been. Tempting to give up. There was a time through my life I lost a son, a child. Now there are many things in life that you can fix with money, with counseling, but when you lose a son, now there is no replacement, there is no substitute, but you have to pick up yourself and continue. I'm gonna go back to my book. So I drove to Wellington. Now I wish anybody warned me before I went to Wellington. And in a way, when I look back, I really believe it was God's plan that I will end up in Wellington without any notice, because should ever anyone even give an idea of what Wellington was, I think I was never, ever, ever was gonna go to Wellington to lock myself in a farm and write this book. And I was going to make a biggest mistake, because I could have never written a book talking about apartheid in South Africa without going in an area in South Africa which was 99.9% white, where the language spoken is Afrikaans. When I say Afrikaans, the dogs speak Afrikaans, the birds speak Afrikaans, everything is in Afrikaans. There is no room to live. I mean, I landed in Wellington after I've been booked there by a friend, because I was looking for a place to go and concentrate myself. The next day I wanted to pack and leave, but again I prayed. I found strength. Then I even went to church and socialized with certain group of people slowly. And then I discovered there is a deli in Wellington. What really kept me in Wellington is the hosts, the people who hosted me, Mara and Dick. They were and still are my friend until today. Mara and Dick are like, I don't know, it's just my second family. They were so kind, so welcoming, that I stayed the extra day, the extra week, until I discover other reality about South Africa, things that you'll never see, ever. Other side of South African white people that they don't portray, probably for fear of showing their humanity. I wanted to run from Wellington because I thought it was going to be a disaster for me to stay there for 3 months But the longer I stay, I realize I discover other truth about Wellington. I made friends. I end up in people's houses. I've been invited to places. I had dinner with strangers, white, Africans. I had so much time. I discovered that the picture of racism in South Africa, I'm speaking from my own experience because I can't lie. I mean, I stayed in Wellington for 30 days. Initially, when I arrived, the first week, I had people looking at me funny because I drove a fancy car. Even in the church, there was a way they introduced me. First time I was in a church with in a very derogatory manner, and someone stood up and corrected the pastor about the way he introduced me. And there were policemen following me, kind of checking my car to make sure that I see them checking on the radio, almost like they want to make sure the car is not stolen. It was a fancy car. I know they were doing it just to kind of ridicule me. Those were like first week. But after I spent close to 2 months, this is after being in South Africa for almost 27 years, 26 years. I had to reconsider a lot of remarks, which if I did not go to Wellington, I was going to put in my book. I saw a side of white people in South Africa that we don't see in the cities. I was very shocked. I discovered the kindness of white people. I discovered the human side of most white people that they don't portray in many other areas of life in South Africa. I discovered that by me going into the turf, by me throwing into myself in the turf and just show my vulnerability, I think some of them were so shocked to actually see a black dude, I'm black, can't find black than me, in the turf. Some of them were almost intimidated, offended, that I could have the courage to go to reside in Wellington. Who does that? And some were looking at me like, wow, I really envy you because I don't think I have the courage to just go in Soweto and book myself in the hotel. Where I wake up, I'm the only white person. I think some of them show me that side, other were offended, but in the long run, I discovered that as human, beside the race, culture, and all this bullshit, excuse my language, we portray sometimes, there is a human side that if you discover the human side of people, I guarantee you, not even the sky is the limit for you to navigate through life. Because I saw the humanity of Afrikaans in Wellington, South Africa, after staying among them for 3 months, and I would say, because I used to go weekend in Cape Town, and so I would say maybe if you put all together, maybe a month and a few days. But what I discovered really encouraged me, and when I was writing now my book on the landman of the apartheid era, I wrote from a place of good judgment, balanced, and I felt like the universe really appointed me to write this book called The Landman of the Apartheid Era. I'm so convinced that being white alone and being black alone in South Africa, you can never find the middle ground that I had the privilege to be on. The grace of God to allow me to see with a different lens the life of South Africa after being only in big cities, in Johannesburg mostly and Cape Town. I found a line that I don't care what anyone tells you, no Afrikaans, no South African Afrikaans. I talk about Afrikaans. I'm not talking about the neocons, those who live in South Africa and pretend They are actually in support of the hand of apartheid. They are liars. There are many neocon who actually benefited from apartheid and still do. I'm not talking about that. That you'll find up in the book, what I think about the neocon. I'm not going to give them a minute of my video here. But I'm talking about the Afrikaans. I discovered that Afrikaans people actually are the most human people I have come across. I know somebody may be offended by this, especially South African. I have never been in South Africa through the time of the atrocities. Even my remarks, if you read my book, removes absolutely nothing from statement I made about apartheid, which I think it was the worst. There is no word in the English vocabulary yet to describe apartheid, and especially that every word you find in English is being actually tempered by the language and the author of the language, which is the English himself. So we gotta find a new language to describe what really apartheid is. Is not even a crime. So I'm not undermining the atrocity of apartheid, but no one also cannot deny me the humanity, the human side that I saw in Wellington while writing this book. I really challenge anyone that lives in South Africa, or South African, anybody who's interested to know how to go from here, what is actually someone who's not entrenched in the anger of South Africa past story, what they think and what we see. If you really want to see South Africa through the lenses of a foreigner, somebody who's objective, somebody who's more rational, I think read this book, because there is actually no need to cultivate certain issues, certain lies, certain realities that are only based on your own assumption. It's nice to know really in the depths what is the true story, you know. And there are places in the book where I talk about South African who see the injustice from the perspective of white versus black. Usually when I talk with my friend in South Africa, I said, I left my country very young because I was under a dictatorship of Mobutu Sese Seko. We were coming from the family, the background that I was from, the status of my father in the society. I was determined to grow poor. There was no room for people like me to do anything, to get anywhere in high hand in the Congo, because the reason why I left Congo, which was Zaire then. But so when you put it in perspective between white oppressing black and then black oppressing black, the only fight we had in country like DRC, I can talk about my own country, is that we didn't take too much time to focus on Mobutu oppressed us, they were racist. No, we just knew they were bad people, they were dictators, they were just bad people. Mobutu and his cohorts, Mobutu and his team of people, they just had no consideration for other Congolese. They've made up their minds, they will rule Congo for 30 years among themselves and never give a chance to anybody else to actually take their position. Now, can you just imagine if Mobutu was white? Most of us Congolese were going to think the reason why Mobutu did what he did is because he was white. So this mindset have blinded a lot of black South Africans, because thinking that way make you feel, first of all, in your own assumption, it makes you elevate the white man to a height that he doesn't deserve. You actually make him look as a Superman, probably above you, and use the color of the skin as the reason why he oppressed you, when really the true reason why they did that, if you put now in parallel with Congo, it's just that people, when they are motivated by evils, it doesn't matter what race they possess. When people are motivated by evil attitude, I'm not saying Africans are evil people, it's not my suggestion. I'm saying Mobutu people in Congo, they were all black, but they were just animated by evil minds. Mobutu constitution mindset was to oppress certain tribe, to oppress certain people, and he did it for 30 years. So we never as Congolese and say they did it because they're white. So we never really suffered this side that most South Africans have allowed themselves to be blinded by. Besides the oppression, the race has been also something now that makes South African feel an extra pain, an extra anger, almost like people of the same race do not oppress themselves. History have told us otherwise. So by me saying that, I'd want first anybody who assume that race is the reason why certain people have behaved the way they behave in apartheid, to eliminate that. Just put it on the side for a moment and just focus and try to portray our situation where we were oppressed by our own leader, same color, same country, not an outsider, born on the same land. If you start really meditating on that way, you can heal from a lot of things that are not important. So you can actually put your focus on the really true fight. I really believe that in this world, since I become a Christian, this is also another angle. I don't think if you do not have really depths in faith, in your, I don't know what faith you may have, but I think by me, when I start comparing one oppression against another without seeing race, I picked up that really there is only one fight, is good versus evil. Light against darkness. It does not matter who does it. It does not matter who perpetuates that evil. If they are any color, it does not matter. It's evil. And what evil does, because it's a spirit, evil tends to permeate, to integrate itself and take the nature of a certain environment and perpetuate itself under that nature, so that people do not actually discover it. So they think you can never see until you become spiritual. Like wherever there is a lot of abuse, evil will go and translate itself in abusive manner. So men abuse women, and then people start saying men abuse women. Men abuse women, but it's actually evil taking. If there is a place where there is a tribal division, evil is gonna take the dress of the tribal division. It's gonna see a place where a lot of people are just become tribalist, if you call them in English like that. In French, we say tribaliste. People just start dividing based on the tribe. And if you find the race, you can use as well, separate based on race. And if it's gender, it's going to use the gender, to use one gender to oppress the other, so people can say, no, it's gender, it's gender. So we've been running a marathon where the goalposts move all the time, because we've been fooled. It's a Macarena. You touch here, it's light there. You touch there, you light there. But since I discovered there is only one fight, good versus evil, light versus darkness, I never bothered anymore. You can't fool me. I'm now in Russia, and when I see in Russia what is going around, and even though there is a conflict with a neighboring country, I don't want to go in that direction. I just want to use this as an example. It's same people, same origin, same people, same race. Now what? Now what? I'm not talking about either side, who's right, who's wrong. It's not really my perspective. My wife is Russian, but I can tell you there are so many people from the other country here, from Ukraine, Nobody even talks about race. Nobody even talk about so what. Evil divide. Evil look for anything in any area that it can use to perpetuate its evilness. I really believe that's what I discovered. So when I wrote my book, I really have to toe my lines. I could not just dismiss what happened in South Africa. It's not my history. I can't just dismiss. I cannot also just deny that I have discovered things in South Africa for 27 years. I arrived in South Africa. I'm going to the good part. I arrived in South Africa on the 1st of April, 94. 1st of April, 94. Already when I was 18, when I finished matric 18, I decided I'm going to leave Congo, Zaire. I knew I was going to leave. It took me a few more years before I left. I already made up my mind. I didn't even register at the university when I finished matric. I refused. I said, I'm not going to put my name. I'm going out of the country. And it happened in 1994. I landed in South Africa. I did not speak a word of English. I arrived in the queue. I flew from Zambia, Lusaka. I drove from DRC to Zambia and I flew from there because there were no direct flights in DRC. And the guy asked me, it was Jan Smart then. The guy asked me, how long are you here for? I did not know what he said. So I keep saying Zaire. He said another thing, I said Zaire. I thought he was asking me where I come from. Then he actually put his hand down, on the counter, he said something, but later I found out from the translator, he said, do you want to go back to Zaire? So me, because I didn't know what he said, when I heard he said Zaire, I'm like, yes. He gave me my passport and he said, next. And I saw a Chinese guy who was behind me, coming in front of me. I'm like, why? So I pushed the guy. Then there was a guy in the queue who speak English and French who came and tried to help to translate. So he says to me, no, he's asking how long you want to be in South Africa. This guy was shoving a calendar on my face, like, how long you want to be in South Africa for? And it was in April, I ended up pointing December. The guy's like, you crazy? I'm like, why? I want to be here until December. I didn't know the law was 3 months. So I was like, I lost my father in DRC and my brother was living in South Africa. He was the only really person who was autonomous in our family. I wanted to stay with him and understand what I do after my father passed away. I didn't know what to do. So he gave me 3 months and then he gave me my passport. I left. That's my introduction to South Africa. I do not speak a word of English. And it was Easter weekend when I arrived. Everyone was home. It was a big holiday. We went to the south. There was this playground. I don't know how I call it again. It was so nice. It was just like, wow. Then work began. Everyone is at work. I'm at home alone. I don't know what to do. There is a nanny in the house. I can't talk to her, Sylvia. There is a shop in the corner. I don't know how to buy anything. It's just, I'm like in a total different world. I don't know what to do. I used to go to the shop. It was owned by a Portuguese guy. And he knew I didn't speak English. So he always teased me. I think my brother told him, make it hard for him. I don't know what happened because this guy, every time I walk in his shop, I buy stuff. I come to the counter before I pay. He will take and say, bread. Then he wait for me to say bread. Apple. Then you're going to be like, Coca-Cola. And it's going to be like, oh, he'll do this thing. Eventually, I'll just wait for the total. He give me, I pay, I take my stuff, I go. Every time he did it. And one day, he was doing his thing again. Bread, sardines. I just took whatever I had, I left. And then a few minutes later, I see him running out after me. And he come with this thing in his hand. And then he look at me in my eyes. He's like, Apple. By the time I raised my hand to punch him, he threw it on my hand. He ran away. Oh, I went home. I don't know even how to complain. You know, I'm alone. And it was just funny. So I started dating this girl from my balcony, facing a balcony. We just start dating. We sign. I do push-ups. She models for me. She'll wear a hat, and then she'll wear glasses, and she'll try to show me like she's a star. I have to assume, to guess who's that, Madonna or this. If I get it right, she model for me. If I get it wrong, I have to push up for her. We dated for a few months. One day, we even broke up a few times, just from the balcony, from the window. Funny story in the book. And then we broke up one day because we had a sign every time we want to show to each other that we are home. We have to open the window and open the curtains. That was a sign to say I'm home, I'm available. If you open the window, your curtain is closed. It's like I'm home, but I'm still not available. And so whoever come first, go to the balcony and see. So I think one Sunday we went to church. My brother took us to the Zairean church then, and we were so late. I was so impatient. I knew we had a date. It's always around 4 o'clock. When I come home, she saw me. It was around like 6 o'clock. She banged the window, closed the curtain. Gone for 1 week. We broke up. I used to go every day after that to put my light on, switch on and off to try to get attention. Never came to the balcony for a week. I think for a few days. Come Friday, I come home. She came home. I was already home. I saw she opened the window. She opened the curtain. She walked out. She's like looking at me with a frown on her face. I'm doing my push-ups to get her attention. Eventually she laughed. I'm like, wow, yeah, back to business. And then she signaled me to go down because we stay in a compound, like meet downstairs. And I didn't understand. Eventually she went in, and then I saw her coming downstairs with like a bag. I realized she's going to the shop. So I went also down. I met her. Wow, brown eyes, dark hair, thick bra. She was pretty. She was from Australia, I found out later. And we went to the shop, the same shop where I used to go buy stuff without talking. When I walk in that shop, that man, the Portuguese guy, saw me next to this girl. He's like, how is this guy who doesn't talk managed to pull a date? And he didn't understand. This girl bought everything. It was the first time I saw her face to face. And then eventually she finished, and then we walked out. And she blurted certain things in English. I didn't understand what she said. I was under the impression that she still was angry with me not showing up that Sunday. So for me to really make it up for her, I didn't know what to say. I don't know where I come up with this. And I just told her, I love you. The next minute, she clapped me, liar, pa! I didn't understand. I just heard liar. That I heard. She went running. So I went home to my younger brothers. They spoke a bit of English. And then I'm like, what is liars means? My brother's like, who call you liar? I'm like, they never. It's like, wow. They explained to me in French what liar means. I'm like, no, why? So I asked my brother, go ask her why she called me a liar. And then they found out, apparently she was angry that not only I didn't show up the Sunday, but for me to tell her I love her, she was offended because it was the first time we met. She said, how can you love me? Never met me before. What I meant in French, it was, I like you, but I didn't have the vocabulary for that. So I went for the kill, I love you. I meant to say, I like you. In French, it's like, je t'aime bien, je t'aime bien. Je t'aime, it's I love you. Je t'aime bien is like tender, it's like I like you, but I didn't have the vocabulary. So, and before that incident, my brother, when I arrived in South Africa, it was just a month before the election, first democratic election in South Africa. You guys don't understand, as an outsider, what it meant that moment. If my father never passed away, I don't think I was going to stay in South Africa. There was so many violence taking place. Bomb going off in town. I remember the IFP in Qatar, Buthelezi, he took a gun on TV. It was my first time to see a gun. Like, not except in a movie. We don't see guns in Congo. In DRC, I want a gun on TV. We were glued on TV. My brother and his wife, we were glued on TV every time, every evening. The negotiation were going on. People were running out of the country, avoiding the bloodshed in South Africa. I didn't panic because I really didn't care what was going to happen. Not because I didn't care in terms of, I don't care about people dying. It's just that I lost my dad like a year prior to that. I was still mourning my dad, and to actually see people fighting, threatening to kill each other, I didn't have no fear. I believe if my father never passed away, I was going to go back to Congo. I was in a different world. I couldn't go home. Home was fatherless, you know, and I couldn't go any further. I was in South African transit. I was going to France. I wanted to become a pilot, but France embassy were closed in South Africa, and everyone was waiting for the outcome. I could not go further because I didn't know who was going to pay my school. You know, I needed to have support financially. So I was in South Africa just in transit, and my brother was the only place I could go just to like kind of find myself before I decide what I do. And this thing is happening. I could not believe. People used to go march and dancing, you know, South African dance. And then they used to call that toy. I asked my brother, I said, there are people celebrating everywhere. I went on the street, people were, he says, they actually marching. These are march, is not a celebration. I'm like, how can people march demanding certain changes, but they are dancing? He says, it's called toy. I used to love toy. When the toy on TV, I used to toy as well. I can't believe you expressing your frustration dancing. Oh my God, I can do that all day. I used to toy on my own. It was hilarious. Wow. Everybody was expecting election to be such a sad event. Come the election day, nothing happened. I mean, nothing. The energy after Mandela took the presidency in South Africa was, until today, I'm 50 years, I've never, ever in my life, seen a moment like the one I experienced post-election in South Africa. I've never seen it, ever. Never, ever seen. It was electric. It was followed by success in rugby, success in soccer. I mean, oh my God, Yoville, Boom Shaka. Huh? Listen to Boom Shaka. Oh my God, Vivaze. Where were you? I mean, there were moments in South Africa until the day I see God that I will never forget. It was probably the best transition from an adult, from a boy to a man. I think I took the best transition in my life. I don't think I could have had it any other place and get such a memory like in South Africa. It was electric. And then Mandela's speech was so, I did not hear a word he said, but to see people tearing down, crying, black, white. When I saw that speech, after that girl clapped me, you know, after my brother's been begging me to go and learn English, he says, because you need to learn English while you wait to go overseas. Take this time to learn English. I used to say, nah, if I start English, I may be forced to stay here, but I'm not gonna do English. I prefer to leave the country first. I was kind of like putting him under pressure. I didn't want to go to school. But then when that neighbor clapped me, and then I heard Mandela's speech without understanding, the next week I decided I'm going to do English lesson. I went myself to register at VERT. There was a school where you could speak English, learn English, and people from various countries. I start my English lessons, and the elementary courses, they start with like, where are you from, what's your name, your physical address. It took like a month. For a month, I had a date. I wanted to take the girl out who clapped me. And I had a Mandela speech I needed to listen without anyone interpreting for me. And yet I'm in this class, they're teaching us, what's your name? Where do you stay? What's your brother's name? I'm like, what's got to do with my date? I got so frustrated. And I used to go across, I don't know if it was Nando's or what restaurant, and I used to buy chicken. And every time I bought a chicken, somehow they brought me a full chicken. But in my mind, I was ordering a quarter chicken. But I didn't know how to say quarter chicken because I was going to school to learn English so that I could order correctly. And school was taking its time. So I was ordering the wrong chicken. One day I go to my brother, I said to him, every time I order chicken, they give me full chicken. He says, but how you order? So I say, when I go there, I say full chicken. Then he says, but they give you full chicken because they ask for full chicken. I say, so why they don't give me a quarter? He says, you must ask for quarter chicken. We were talking in French. Then he says, but why you ask for full chicken? I say, because every time I go with you to Nando's, you ask for full chicken. He says, yeah, because I order for the family. That's why I order full chicken. I'm like, oh my God. So actually full chicken is a description. It's not a name of a chicken. This is what happens when you're not in language. The next day I go there, I go to the counter. This guy knew me because every time they give me full chicken, I will eat and I didn't know how to speak for takeaway. I will leave my chicken and go. So they used to take my chicken. That day I arrived there with my confidence. I'm like, I need a quarter chicken. And they gave me a quarter chicken. When I sat down to eat it, No. Before I go to the quarter chicken, I go there, I say to them, I wanted to say quarter chicken, and I end up with full chicken. And I sat there, they brought me a full chicken. I look at them, I can't say any other further note because I don't know how to speak further than full chicken. I didn't learn English then. My brother just told me how to order. Then I'm like, but I said something, I don't remember, I forgot quarter, full. I ate the chicken and I went there to ask for bag. So I'm saying in French, panier, paquet. They're like, huh? And I look at the chicken on the table. I'm like, there is no way. I'm not gonna leave that chicken for them today. They've been rude. So I'm thinking, what can I do? I'm going to class and I look at my chicken. I've only had a quarter of it. And looking, and I saw this street kid parking cars for people washing. I'm like, I don't know how to call these kids. So I figure out I'm gonna take the chicken to the kid. I walked to my table. I took the chicken from the one of the leg with the sauce dripping down. Boo, 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 boo. I went on the street. I give to this kid. This kid dropped the cloth. You know when they wash the car. He saw this Nando's chicken coming to him. The kid could not believe it. And those guys on the counter, they could not believe I took my chicken. I went to school, I washed my hands, went in class, and I continued the course. That day I felt so vindicated. I took my chicken. I took it without, no packet. Naked chicken. I went back to tell my brother what to do about ordering. He taught me a little bit. So I started ordering now, quota. And I didn't care what flavor because they always got it wrong for me. And in the meantime, I had a neighbor, a Portuguese kid who used to come and smoke by me because his parents wouldn't allow him to smoke. I used to stay alone at my brother's house alone. And so he found out that he figured out he could come to my house to smoke. And he started smoking. He tried to get me to smoke. I'll puff, but we spoke also in English, never understood what. Everything he said was FN this, FN nice car, FN nice girl. So he started teaching me FN word. I thought when you want to really emphasize that something is good, you really say FN. A week later, we're in class, you know, the course changes. Now they're asking us different question. How long, you know, describing the time, the length, how long. So my turn, the teacher asked, Mr. Pascal, how long have you been in South Africa? Then I look around. I'm so excited that they finally changed the question. You know, they ask us boring question. I'm like, this is progress. Now we getting into the English now. How long you been in South Africa? So I decided I'm going to impress the teacher, because I have a friend, my neighbor, who used to come and speak English. He taught me a few words. So I stood up and told the teacher, I've been in South Africa for FN 2 months. The teacher's like, hey, stop it. Why are you swearing? So I thought the teacher and everybody else could not believe I speak such a good English. So I reached out to my passport. My brother asked me to always take my passport in my pocket, because that time they were, the checking people. So I reached out to my passport, and I'm trying to prove to the teacher that I've been in South Africa for 2 months. I want to show him the visa. So he's saying, but why are you swearing? Then I'm like, why you mean, what? FN swearing? So I'm asking, what is FN swearing? Oh my God. Everybody's like giggling. I'm like, they're jealous I speak English, because they didn't teach us that in school. The teacher's like, don't. So the teacher understood French. He says to me, no, he didn't understand French. He understood French, but he could not speak French. So he tried to explain, I don't understand. He later called my brother to tell my brother what I just said. When I went home, my brother told me what I said in French. Oh. He says, you swear? He said in French what I said. I decided to quit English. The next afternoon, the kid that was teaching me the effing word come to my gate again, like he did many other times. Didn't know what happened. Because of him, I embarrassed myself in the class. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to use the word against him. As he just walked through the gate, I'm like, FN, you, FN. He could not believe I'm trying to throw stuff on him. He ran, never came back to my house, you know. And later, I went to join my brother at the company. I decided I'm going to learn English by other means. I started working for him. Then I started driving. I became a driver, a taxi driver. Oh my God. It was... So I never finished my course of English in a class. And I've written a book about South Africa. What a challenge. Do you now realize why I had to come on Times Square to get myself some coffee? Because I'm not into alcohol really. You know, I can get a glass of wine there and there. But if it was those days, I could have had a bottle of champagne. But there is many ways to celebrate. And I'm here just to say, I cannot believe I come from not speaking a word of English to write a book in English about a country that I was in transit. Fate have decided otherwise. And South Africa has become a country of choice. I just want to tell people who think South Africa is this, South Africa is that. I've traveled around the world. I do not believe there is a country blessed. I do not believe on earth, on this planet, there is a country blessed with nature, landscaping, people, culture, controversy like South Africa. People like to talk about crime in South Africa. You remove crime from South Africa, you have paradise on earth. Now, I have a problem with that. The minute we have paradise, Jesus is no longer coming back. If that was true, to have paradise on earth, Jesus didn't have to come back. He was going to tell us, just move to South Africa. So, South Africa should be accepted just the way it is. I do not condone crime. But those who use that as a way to sabotage South Africa, like to take away something from South Africa, they are just selfish people. South Africa, without all the things people talk about, is paradise. No other country you can have such a complexity and beauty. From here, the ocean. Here you see the mountain. In one day you can be in the ocean, in the bush, in the winery, in town, in I mean, even your body is reacting like it's lost. South Africa is a beautiful country. I mean it with every being in me. The story of South Africa is a redemptive story which Mandela has proven. by coming out of jail and really took the high road and make the decision. I talk about this in the book. Mandela, what he did is unheard of. And that's why I followed his redemptive acts. South Africa had a different energy. He pulled his own black people oppressed for so many years on one end. He went to reach out to the white on the other. And he tried to hook these people together. And these two groups didn't help me to reach the hook. They didn't help him. And Mandela tried so hard until the day Mandela left this world. Because there was such a unforgiveness and stubbornness, especially on the white side. Let me now come on you a little bit. To have the opportunity that Mandela came to give white South African after what has happened in South Africa. I cannot believe you decided to think, to take time to pause. There was no time to pause. It was a redemptive moment. I was in South Africa at the moment when Mandela became a president. I didn't have to speak English. But to see the crowd of people mixed the way they were, I knew. Beside the small knowledge we had from watching movies in school like Steve Biko, we used to watch in school, we used to learn the apartheid story in our class in school, but that was a moment to actually, Mandela wore Pinar cricket jersey. Has anyone ever wondered what if de Klerk have worn a soccer t-shirt of, let's say, Lucas Radebe, just for one day and be pictured with Lucas Radebe next to him? This is how far Mandela went to try to reach out to the white people. Sabotage Mandela. Really sabotage Mandela. I talk in depth about that in my book. And that was a missed opportunity. Still, South Africa, in terms of South Africa landscaping, the depth of the people, it's still a beautiful country. It's still, I believe strongly, South Africa still have such a great opportunity to unite again and prove wrong to the world. And I really hope with this new government of union, maybe is another way. Maybe it may be the hard way, but actually the way back to redemption. Because to really overlook the opportunity Mandela gave that time is one thing really I sincerely regret every time, especially when I did my research. I realized even many South African whites regret, secretly they regret that opportunity. And I sat with a lot. I sit with a lot of white people. I sit with a lot of black people. I really believe people have made a big mistake. Nonetheless, a lot of things still happening in South Africa. It's a very complex country. South Africa is the only country where I have seen in Africa a president taken to court. I'm not going into what he didn't, is not what I'm saying. For South African to really think you have a country as ordinary like other country, you do not understand. I was in your country when Mbeki was recalled overnight in winter. The next day, he was replaced. No story. Dollar never shaken. Business continue. Zuma is called, arrested in prison. Life continue. Try to do that to anywhere else in Africa. There is no way you can do that anywhere else in Africa except in South Africa. This is a country 2 hours flight from where I was born in DRC. You cannot do that to a president and the country continue to function. We're still in a country where the president leaves, he goes to America, United Nations. Certain decisions can't be taken because the cabinet of the president is not there. In South Africa, I arrived, I register company, I did business. I didn't have to meet one minister to have any privilege. This is how strong your constitution is. Come on, South African. You have one of the most beautiful country in the world. And I believe your unity, especially Africans and Black South African, is the biggest fear for the neocon. Is the greatest fear. The day that unity takes place, especially now that you're doing your government, I think there are people who can't sleep because they know that's where lies the secret of your victory. That's where lies the secret of your victory. Wow! A country where you see a former president dancing, machine one, machine. I love Zuma. I love Zuma. I love a lot of people in South Africa. Then on the other side, you're gonna hear Zile. The colonial didn't only do bad things before she fly, and the whole social media is in storm. Looking for Zile for the comment she made before she bought the plane. I talk about that in my book. I'm like, did she lie? Colonial didn't teach us anything. The English we're talking about is not colonial gift. The iPhone you're listening or you're watching it on it's not colonial gift. We as a French, coming from the French background, we never denied that the French, the Belgium have given us certain things. We never denied. We embraced and we kept our culture. In South Africa, there's a tendency to reject anything white. I find that hilarious. I do not know the relevancy of that argument. I think someone needs to pass that place. There are things that are good. You can't just throw the baby and the water together. I don't think so. So let's not speak English also, because it's not our language. Okay, pass that place. Let's move on. Their character in South Africa. I love Malema for various reasons. Just looking at where Malema comes from and aspiring to politics in future in my own country, aspiring to leadership, you cannot help but to appreciate the way Malema got introduced into politics, mature to become a youth leader, challenged his own leadership, fight Zuma, got him out of government. Have his own political party today, and now going to partner with the same guy. No. The same guy he had kicked out of the party. Now he's fighting against still. Where else in the world? Yeah. Guys, where else in the world have you seen a story like that? A young man from Mpumalanga come with nothing to become a youth leader, to be kicked, open a party to challenge the party that kicked him out, get the president ousted, and today partner with him to continue to fight. No, man. Malema is what we call mulume. Respect for Malema. When I did my research, I realized I was in Wellington, as I said. Innocently, I used to run with a t-shirt called Nike. It was red. I bought in America. I never realized when I was running with my red t-shirt, there was a rumor going in Wellington saying that EFF is trying to open an office in Wellington. Some people thought, because I was going in the farm and these cars are following me and they're recording me, And I found that from the host, the lady was hosting me, that people think I was actually a member of EFF trying to plant an office in Wellington. And I asked her, what did you tell them? She says she found that was hilarious, but she told them, no, you were just an author, you were here to write your book. I'm like, no, tell them I'm an EFF. At least it saved me, because that time there were so many crime taking place in farms. She was worried that someone crazy, I was running at night, evening, someone crazy may just maybe, as I'm running in the farm and shoot me and drive past and go. So she was really concerned. And I was like, but in a way I feel a little bit like, wow, I'm an EFF. So somebody must be so scared to do anything wrong to me because they thought I was from EFF. I sat with many people who say many things about Malema, but one thing I've never heard anybody say about Malema, especially among white people, is that Malema is stupid. Not one person I met, or even in my entourage, ever I heard say anything about Malema in terms of is stupid, is this. No. People fear Malema, which really, if you look at the history and what Malema is fighting against, if you fear Malema, then it goes together with his one of the reason why he's fighting to abolish completely the neocolonialism, injustice, and this is one of his motto. He wants to eliminate certain things that which are called the landmines of the apartheid era, which are still hiding in every fiber of society. They are everywhere. So Malema is not somebody that people, even those who hate him, think he's stupid. That is a very good plus for Malema, because there were so many other so many other people who said so many things about the previous leaders in terms of what we call their capacity, intellect capacity. I'm not going to name who, but when it comes to Malema, a lot of people know that Malema is intelligent. If people fear you because you are intelligent, I will welcome that. And Malema also, there is a lot of contrast about him. He come across like he's violent, but he's Malema that discourages xenophobia, which, by the way, is a big win for Mandela. That's why Malema is really has got a future as a party, because in Africa, most of us, we know Malema, especially the youth, because Malema talks about something that a lot of Africans resonate with. And even though Malema may not be growing speedily in South Africa, but in Africa, I think there's no political party that has other footprints in Africa than Malema. So I really think Malema is going to go far. And Malema, the fact that he's also against xenophobia, he understands very deeply the secret of victory, because those that are always cultivating xenophobic attitude among South African with other African, those are the very same people who know that the day we will unite, they won't have a landing strip in Africa anymore. Neocons. I'm coming out of neocons myself on my own account. And Malema, with the voice he has and the charisma he has, if Malema had to be xenophobic, I think that was going to bring South Africa down. And I believe most of the neocons were hoping Malema would be xenophobic, so they could hide like the devil under that umbrella, under that flag, and perpetuate their own crime. Kudos to Malema for understanding that. I always say to South African, please make your border so tight. Close them so tight. But make no mistake, when you do that, please leave your heart open. You can't close your border tight the same way you close your heart. Love African. African love you. The experience we had in the past years about the xenophobia, the killing of African, which, by the way, a foreigner in Africa, in South Africa, is only a black person, is not white, because I don't know, how do you define that? Only African, a foreigner. White, no. I have a lot of foreign whites, my friends, mostly are foreign. They never be bothered for being foreign in South Africa. Never be bothered. They don't even know what that means. So that is a really, those were dark moments in South Africa. And it's because of leader of influence like Malema. And his stance about that, really. I salute you, sir. I salute you, Malema, for that. You'll go down as a strong leader, because you got the point. And yeah, so what other issue about South Africa that I really find fascinating? There are so plenty. My book is almost 400 pages. I talk about so many things in depth, and I really just hope it's gonna bless those who are gonna read it. I just believe that anybody who read that book, either is an outsider, either is a South African or white or black, I think you have so much nugget in that book. You know, I talk about Malemas. You know, Malemas are people. I've been inspired by Malema himself, but this new generation of leaders who have catch up. They knew that the promises that were made were never going to come. So they went to study and try to renew themselves and come back on the political scene, economic business scene, and make themselves heard, which is actually a trend that most South Africans should follow. I found that amazing. I talk about Vusis as well. And I've been inspired by Thembakwayo, Vusi Thembakwayo. What an inspiration. And in French, they say, aucun prophète est respecté chez soi. No prophet is respected in one's country. I hear sometimes Vusi, the way he's attacked, just because he speaks good English. Oh my God. Vusi is an inspiration. Again, Vusi may not be as famous in South Africa, but on the continent, the man has got a footprint. So there are many Vusis in South Africa. I've used this character to describe the new generation of South African that are really promising that this country is going in a dark direction, in a right direction, you know. And Vusis are plenty. There are female Vusis, there are male Vusis. And I've learned so much from Vusi. What an inspiration. And now I'm hearing Vusi now is tempering his intelligence, his intellect with the word of God now. He's talking about faith and the Bible. I love the Vusi now, the symbios. I love the way Vusi now sees life and the stance he's taking now about neo-colonialism. Because initially Vusi, when he spoke before, there was a lot of Gusta, but since he's been talking about his faith openly, I love Vusi now more. It's somebody that really I know I'm gonna cross path with. Vusi, if you're watching this, I will look for you. Vice versa, if you want, I would like to share certain things with you, especially in business. And Malema has been my neighbor in Hyde Park. I stay beyond Malema's house. Never seen him once. Not in the mall of Hyde Park, not in the neighborhood, just walking. For 5 years, never seen Malema once. I found that amazing. Really, really, really amazing. Many places, politicians in countries, they will block the whole mall because they want to buy sunglasses or a pair of underwear. But Malema, he knows he can create a crowd when he goes in the mall. Just never seen him that. Never once. I don't know how he does that, but Malema, well done. South Africa should be on the G8, but I say in my book, South Africa is on the, probably, though it's been the last country, maybe besides Sudan, to have the independence, but when it comes to economy, in politics, in other aspects, If you want to use really other metrics to rate country, I think South Africa is #1 on the continent. Though he received independence last. It may be the last country on the continent, but if you really want to use the metric of economy and other things, South Africa should be on top. And if South Africa was not on the African continent, I really believe it was going to be probably in the G7. Why not? Why not? There are so many contrasts in South Africa. Level of education compared to the index you use for economy. You know, there are so many discrepancies. But really, if you remove South Africa from the continent, there is a big hole. But there are countries, if you leave them out of Africa, you remove them out of the continent, these are almost like, oof, you know. You can judge for yourself. You can judge for yourself. So there are so many good about South Africa. But there is just one thing I want to leave you with. This video has gone too long. I can actually go for hours because 30 years, 27 years in a country, I have so many things to talk about, you know. By the way, after I learned English, I end up dating the girl who clapped me once, and I end up listening to Mandela's speech in full myself with no interpretation. That was the challenge I gave myself. I dated a girl, her name was Sonia, and I met her a few months before she relocated back to Australia. We met in Yoval, and she used to smoke doobies, so we'll go at night to buy doobies for her. She smoked, and we dated really for a lot of months, close to 7-8 months before she went back to Australia. Can you imagine from clapping me because I could not speak English to dating her and tell her that I loved her then because now I could speak English? That is Remondeta, the biggest comeback I've had in South Africa, and listening to Mandela's speech in full, in my own capacity. I have achieved that, and those are benchmark for me. I'm in Russia now, and fate have made it that I'm in Russia again, almost at the beginning of a turnaround of the world. The world is shifting. Those who have spiritual eyes are seeing there is a shift taking place in the world. There is a big fight, but no one can stop this. And for me to find myself in Russia as well, like I did in South Africa when there was a change, I just believe I'm very blessed. Because after what is going to happen after this operation between Russia and Ukraine finishes, the world will never be the same. And to be in the moment when this is taking place, I just happen to be here because, you know, my wife is from here, and after COVID, she could not see her parents. So we're like, okay, I say go to Russia to spend time with your parents. Well, I remain in South Africa doing my business. Then I used to fly back and forth. Then she put our daughter to school, and the daughter started learning what you call Russian, which is very hard, by the way. And then as I come back and forth, I realized, oh my God, actually, I can relocate to Russia. And then the special operation started. I'm like, you know what? This is going to be too hard. Let us, all of us, be on one side. I'll move. So I'm now relocated in Russia. So 19, I left DRC. 27 years in South Africa. And at my 50, I celebrate my 50th in Russia. My 50th in Russia. If you told me that 20 years ago, I would be like, why in Russia? Why will I end up in Russia? You know? But fate made it for me to be here. And I love it. I love the culture here. I love the country. I'm going to make a video about Russia, just on Russia. I don't think I know much now to talk about Russia, except what I see, I experience on my own. But I can really talk about South Africa. And I think after 27 years in a country, being beaten up, attacked, I mean, it's a country where when I arrived, I was a boy. I turned out to be a man. I encountered Jesus Christ. I became born again in Russia. And is where I had my first ever child in my hand, my baby. You know, to see a baby in your hand is in South Africa. And it's the same country where I actually lost my firstborn son. So I'm tied up to South Africa on every angle. You can't take away from me. You can't take South Africa out of me. It's not possible. It's just not possible. So I have a big part of me in South Africa. It's my country of choice. I'm in Russia now. I feel like another stage of life has begun for me. Where from here, how long I'm going to be, I do not know. I really trust God is leading me. But all I know is that I'm going to end up in Congo, and I really aspire to go also lead and help my country using the knowledge I've accumulated out of in other countries to come also help. And I think it's going to be a full journey in the near future, and I'm going to be able to tell another story in the next 27 years, 30, 50, only God knows. So my book again is called The Landmine of the Apartheid Era. I will put it on this video. It's on Take a Lot, it's on Amazon, and there's also other bookshops. It's a good read. There is a lot of sad story, a lot of good stories. If you really want to know and how foreign have experienced South Africa, you cannot find better. You cannot find better. And I just hope it blesses somebody. My first book is called My Mess is for Sale. It's also a testimonial book. It's more spiritual. It will help somebody to read and be encouraged in life. Just like at the beginning of this video, when the stick failed, I continue to record. If life puts you down, do some push-ups before you stand up so quickly. Learn something. And when you are up, you can use it to benefit you. I hope YouTube won't have a problem with the music in the background. This has been Pascal from Red Square in Moscow, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more.